Barring any 11th hour grandstand plays by General Motors or the United Auto Workers Union, the GM assembly plant in Arlington will shut down at midnight tonight as a nationwide strike goes into effect. Months of bargaining between UAW and the automakers have produced no new contracts for workers. The strike funds for the locals have been accumulated, and the workers are prepared for as long as 18 weeks off the job. The economic hardship for the individual worker will be severe, and that severity will be felt by the city of Arlington, in which most of the 3,500 assembly plant workers live. Arlington Mayor Tommy Vandergrift expressed what he termed genuine concern for the cessation of work. He says he hopes the strike is short-lived. That's an understatement when you consider the mayor's referring to a $28 million payroll loss. GM officials are more pragmatic. One local spokesman told us it's like an extended vacation. You turn down the gas and power, stop the paper delivery, and leave a note for the milkman. GM has sent memos to all suppliers stopping delivery of materials until further notice. The strike will hurt General Motors. It'll hurt, at least temporarily, the workers, and it'll hurt business in Arlington and across the nation. But if you scratch the surface of the strike, you come across the real victim, the guy who's going to buy a new car in '71. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move in Arlington.
All that I'm trying to do is to have the people in the city know in their own areas to whom they should look to for the problems that they'd like to get solved.
Would these be elected from various districts?
Yes, they would live in the district from which they were elected.
Well, now, what difference would this be in the old ward situation?
Well, in ward-type politics, each individual council member, or what did they call them then, alderman, they had a budget of their own. They hired their own people, they paid them, they gave out contracts, they called them ward healers. In this situation, I propose that we keep the city manager form of government as we've had for 45 years in Fort Worth. I propose also that we move the budget underneath the mayor and the council to be approved by them and then turned over to the manager for him to handle the work of the city. Basically, this has no relation whatsoever to the old ward type politics. Around the country, you find that the power structure always yells ward politics when you bring this up because they don't want to have their power taken away from them. I can't see that this will hurt the city of Fort Worth. I can see where it will help it quite a bit. I think it gives the people a chance to know who answers to them.
As our objective withdrawal, I can think of nothing that would please Moscow and Peking and Hanoi, the so-called communist centers, more than keeping the United States tied down in Vietnam, which is having disastrous effect upon our economy at home, causing us to spend far more money into the area of military supplies than we would normally have to do, bleeding us of our manpower and of our resources, dividing our nation, why the communists are accomplishing their objectives in Vietnam that they would never have been able to accomplish here at home or in the field of international politics.
In Brownwood State School for Girls, 8 homes have been built for employees at the cost of around $42,000 each. These homes cost $10 more than the figure for the FHA. Now they're renting to these employees at the unbelievable figure of $25 a month. These employees are making $10,000 to $15,000 a year. I've asked in this time of financial crisis, when we're talking about more taxes, that Governor Smith explain that this difference, this high cost, $25 a square foot, it's unbelievable.
Do you think men look at you only as a sexual object?
I think that certain kinds of advertising would make women a sexual object.
You personally?
And I think that you see, I don't think that this is a bedroom war at all. And I think that the media, I mean that kind of question is unworthy of response. But I think the media would love to turn this movement, or some of the media, not our sisters. You can't keep women from some pride and self-respect in their own behalf anymore in the media. But there are certain parts of the media that would love to make a joke out of this movement, and even a dirty joke out of this movement.
I believe that had we made a time schedule definite, set a time schedule where all of our men were going to be withdrawn, we would have done two things. We would have told Saigon that you're going to have to take over the responsibility. No longer can you depend upon Uncle Sam doing your fighting for you, and all the black marketing and corruption that exists in Saigon where they're robbing us blind today. And number two, it would have told Hanoi that we definitely are committed to withdrawal, and therefore now's the time to break through Paris, this stalemate in Paris, and start negotiating a settlement, and which includes the release of POWs. I think American prisoners of war are the forgotten people, but we're not going to get them back until we can get down to a serious political negotiation.
Then you don't think withdrawing from Vietnam is turning tail and run?
Absolutely not.
Many cutbacks have been made in the space program lately. How would you justify to the taxpayer the space program?
I think it's very easy to justify it because you can prove it from a commercial point of view that it has had a lot more benefits than the money that has gone into it. Plus, you certainly can justify it if you're interested as an American in being able to hold up your head in pride and to the rest of the world. Be very readily justified.
Pride apparently has been an awfully expensive sort of thing. What are the Russians doing now in compared to us in space?
They're spending probably 4 or 5 times the amount we are in space. They seem to feel that pride is worth a great deal.
Tell me this: Are we far away from total exploration of the entire universe in space if we keep up at our present pace?
Well, I think it's just around the corner. We certainly are at a point where we can start deep space exploration.
What we want to do is to offer the people in the state of Texas a choice for a change. In other words, we have formed a new political party. We are going to work for a plurality now, and then force Mr. Benson and Mr. Bush, for example, to simply split the conservative vote, and we're going to form our coalition. I think the blacks and Chicanos are tired of being kicked around in the state. The youth in the state here have absolutely no allegiance to the two-party system. That when Mr. Yarborough lost, a number of people were just totally disenchanted with the political process, and I think we can form this type of union and have a very good race. We are going to have a senatorial candidate, which will be announced shortly, and we're going to challenge the court actions this year to see if we can get on the ballot.
You yourself say it's going to be a radical caucus tonight. Are you revolutionaries?
Not in the sense of being violent. Our platform is totally nonviolent, and we do embrace fully the Bill of Rights and the U.S. Constitution. When we use the term radical, we use a Latin word which means getting to the core of the problem.
Oh, I've heard very little comments or dissension concerning my re-election as state chairman. It has been announced in the press that Senator Tower had recommended me for a federal judgeship in the Eastern District of Texas. But I have pledged that I would run the Republican Party through the November 3rd elections. I did this more than 15 months ago. I've been urged by all of the party leadership to run for re-election as state chairman. The job has not been finished or completed, and I intend to be a candidate for state chairman on next Tuesday.
Well, Lyndon Johnson, of course, I would say is the number one Democrat, so to speak, recognized throughout the United States and, of course, in our state. He will address the delegates assembled at a banquet the night before the convention. Now, if he will attend the convention, I am not aware of it.
Behind the scenes, behind the speech and behind the formal meetings, what is his role? What is his communication with you? Have you talked with him about party matters?
No, very, very little, except to the extent that he is vitally interested in all the Democratic nominees being elected. And he's offered to do whatever he could to be helpful.
Going back to the strike fund, it's my duty as president of this local union to tell you that the $120 million that we have in the UAW International Strike Fund, the way it's set up at the present time, will probably last 4 to 4.5 weeks. And I'm going to tell you what was said to us when we were in Detroit. General Motors is not so big that they can't be brought to their knees. When you got more money in the government, you're pretty darn big. But they're not so big if we stick together. That's right. And we be union members, and we do our fair share, and we accept our obligation, and we carry that picket sign. And after 4 weeks, you're going to be asked to carry that picket sign without any money.
I urged a resolution by this convention that the administration make it graphically clear that there will be no total withdrawal from Vietnam under any circumstances until such time as we have arranged for the return of American prisoners of war now held by the Vietnamese, that we make it graphically clear to the government of North Vietnam that we are not about to buy peace at the expense of these young men and their families. And secondly, I urge that they call on both the National Congress and on our state legislators here at home to be guided by some obvious principles of fair play in considering congressional and legislative redistricting.
Realize this, but there's plenty of little jobs that we, the little people, can do, but we'll bring this big corporation to their knees if we stick together. So all I'm telling you,
the delegates to the convention feel the same way. You don't change horses in the middle of the stream. I feel that they will all basically lend their support to me to accomplish the job that we've set out to do.
Whatever possessed you to give Phyllis this crab?
Well, it was kind of like a bet. I told her one day, since our zodiac signs are both Cancer, so I told Phyllis one day that I was going to give her a live crab for her birthday, and she didn't believe me. And when I left school last spring, she said that I wouldn't do it. So on her birthday, I went over to see her with a live crab. Linda went with me.
What happened?
Well, we came to the door, and Phyllis just went, "Oh no, Boo, you didn't really." But Boo really did, and so we put it in her room, and it got out of the box, and
Phyllis really didn't like to touch it at all. And so we went out and visited some friends and came back, and it crawled out of a ice chest and was on top of her father's golf cart. And nobody wanted to get it off there. We just thought we might leave it there.
You know, that's a very interesting thing. Apparently this crab has brought Phyllis a lot of real good luck. What went on last night in the sorority house?
Oh, well, I don't know. It was just scary. It wasn't even funny. I mean, it's not like just being excited. It was like really being scared, you know. See, we wanted to go up there real bad, and we called her when she had an hour to get ready last night. We called her, what, about 3? Mm-hmm. And she had like an hour to get ready, and she talked to us, and we each had a minute to talk because we have paper on minute.
What were some of the things that were said?
Well, she said she was really getting scared, but she said she'd do her best, you know, to please us.
To be bused to a school that he considers to be superior to the one he's now attending.
It seemed as though nobody cared about it. Just let it go. And so we said, can we make some kind of settlement on our rent, because we don't feel we should be paying all of it and not have an air-conditioned apartment.
The basic problem is the corporation will not pay the $3,500 necessary to repair it.
Do you just not want to pay your rent?
Oh, no, I pay all my bills. That's one thing. I don't like anything delinquent, but I feel like when there are roaches that I know carry diseases, and when the swimming pool is closed by the health department, I feel like I'm living in a terribly unsanitary place, and if they can't do something to improve that, I don't feel like I owe them anything, and I told them that.
And what did they say?
They asked me why I hadn't moved sooner, and like we talked about before, I didn't have the money for a new deposit or anything. I said, I am moving on the 15th, and then a half hour later, my TV was gone.
And Friday morning, I called GNC Properties, and I said to them, is there any way we can make a settlement on this? And I had called my lawyer previously, and he told me not to do this, but I thought it would be the nice thing to do. And it evidently wasn't, because she told me to get out, and then I started packing. And then I was stopped by this Mr. Collier from the management. He said that he would take my personal belongings to keep me from moving.
If you own a new automobile like this one in the background, chances are you feel it does not need an anti-pollution device. Well, Gene Irvin, president of REI Industries of Dallas, says it does, and we're going to find out why. First of all, the answer is under the hood. Mr. Irvin, why is this new car different?
It's here, but what we do technically is go in series with the secondary circuit of the ignition system between the distributor cap and the spark plug wire. We have laboratory tests, gas chromatograph tests, that indicate on the cars tested that we knock out up to 100% of the hydrocarbons.
Is this just another distributor or coil gimmick?
Well, one of the problems we have is just that kind of a question, Jim. We operate in the same area where an awful lot of gimmicks have operated. And I grew up in the car business, and I'm familiar with that problem. No, it's not. Our device is guaranteed to do all the things we say it will do, or we'll buy it back at the retail price.
Isn't it primarily for older cars, actually?
It's for all cars. Any car can benefit from the installation of this device. He's ready to go.
At this particular time in our automotive history, there are a lot of people seeking a lot of answers to the air pollution problem. This just might very well be the answer from REI Industries. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News, on the move.
Future plans are to deploy a wing of F-111s of 72 aircraft. That will be sometime within the next few months.
Colonel, does the Middle East situation have anything to do with the deployment of the 111 at this time?
It does not.
What type of troops are being sent? Are they troops who normally have been flying some other aircraft?
Yes, sir. The troops that are presently there have been flying F-100s.
Captain, I understand you've just been assigned to F-111 duty in England. What's your reaction to this?
I guess you can tell I'm pretty excited about it. Anytime you get a chance to go to England, you'd be a fool to turn it down. And this is what I asked for also. I asked for F-111s and I asked for England.
Why did you ask for F-111s?
I think the airplane probably has more potential than anything else that I would be assigned to fly at this time.
Do you have any idea of what sort of duty you'll have over there?
Well, right now, I haven't gone to the school for 111s. I'll be going there next month at Las Vegas at Nellis Air Force Base. And so I'm not too familiar with the mission. But everything I've read about the 111 I liked, and I think the airplane is going to turn out to be one of our best, if not our best.